lesbian, well, first I looked up lessor and lesion, and then I looked up lesbian, and there was a book. I'm not going to check it out, of course, but I'm a fast reader and I got an hour before we close. The book says you can go to Greenwich Village in New York City any night of the week and find bars full of women drinking and dancing and talking together. The butch ones ask the femme ones to dance. I think the witches are the mannish ones, like that person we saw on the street that time, and my mother said something under her breath, and I never forgot it. I have to figure out how to get to a city. That's me. I'm like her. Freshman year, before I came out, I read every gay book in my high school's library, mostly on Sundays when nobody was around. And now I'm writing my big junior year term paper, and I get to check out books from libraries all over the state. Imagine being somebody like me. Imagine finding a book about lesbians in 1955. This is We Walk Alone Through Lesbos' Lonely Grove, nonfiction about lesbian life in New York City. The information in this book is that of the subjective insider. I hope to disclose facets of female homosexual life as I have known it.
There is no definition, no formula, no pattern that will accurately and completely characterize the female homosexual. She may be a sophisticated big city gay woman, or live with her sensible roommate in a small town. She comes from the smoky slums of Pittsburgh, the boxed-in Lower East Side of New York City, or the open plains of Texas.
Well, when I was a girl, around 8 years old or so, I had a neighbor, a little older than me. She was very strong, very appealing. We played together all the time, and I felt very natural in her arms. I think about her sometimes, wonder if she'll show up in here one of these days. And then, when I first got my own place, I was visiting with some of the gals who lived upstairs with me, and I must have said something about not caring about boys or dates or whatnot, because one of them asked, "Are you gay?" And I said, "Well, I try to be as happy as I can under the circumstances." And they all sort of laughed. And I knew what they meant, but not really. A friend took me, a girl I knew at work. She was real mysterious about it. Wouldn't tell me where we were going or anything. Just made me come along with her. I don't know why. She must have seen something in me that I didn't even see in myself. And then later she left town, but I just knew I had to go back there. I was always a good kid, and my mom started asking if I'd gotten myself a young man, because I was so scared and secretive, and I'd blush like anything, which just made her more suspicious. But it wasn't a young man. It wasn't even a person. It was that place, those women. I finally got the courage to go back there alone. I'm almost sweet 16 and never really been kissed. This fall, all the new people in the GSA thought that I was the S part of Gay Straight Alliance. And my friends from other schools, from the LGBT Youth Network, are like so much cooler than me. They all have shaved heads and piercings, and they make out with somebody new like every week.
Join me in a journey to M's bar where the whole world is gay, filled to overflowing with female homosexuals. The butches move through the room like little boys who are old enough to wear long pants, but too young to shave. The feminine lesbians, made up like chorus girls, flirt with them, tease them, touch the collars of their shirts with long fingernails. Dark corners hide the hand holders and the couples who kiss each other lightly, furtively, for even M's bar must know some discretion, must be wary of a possible member of the bike squad in their midst.
Once I get to the city, my little rented room and my little job, I still have to find one of these places. Every night after work, I walk and walk. I eat a lot of spaghetti dinners and drink a lot of coffee, alone in different cafes, hoping for a clue. It's awfully noisy in this diner. Those people, I thought that was a couple of dressed up ladies and some young boys, but I think they're all women. I think they're like in the book. Should I go over there? Can I say something to them? I've been sitting here so long, the waitress has stopped refilling my coffee. Leaving. They stop and go down some stairs. There's no sign. No wonder I couldn't find one of these places. A man sitting on a stool by the door looks me up and down. She a friend of yours? He calls out to the girls from the diner who've gone in ahead of me. Yeah, says one of the boyish ones. But before I can answer, one of the dressed-up girls pulls her way into the crowd. It is like in the book. Well, it's smaller than I imagined. There are so many people. I wish I wasn't wearing this old dress. Gin, please. Rock.
Gay life for the female homosexual, as lived in the gay bars and cafes of the world, is a lonely, harassed, and depressing life.
This is written by a lesbian? It's so self-loathing. She has so many prejudices against butches, femmes, sex workers. A white woman, she writes about people of color as other when she writes about them at all. Another book that I got for my term paper is this study of lesbian community in Buffalo, New York in the 1940s and 50s. Can you believe There were lesbian bars in cities throughout the United States as early as the 1930s. In some cities, there were segregated black and white bars. In others, women of color were more likely to socialize at house parties. And all of these women were trailblazers of lesbian visibility decades before Stonewall. When I came out, well, not came out, I've been gay all my life, but when I first started to go out to the bars, we had to fight to get in places. Not the cops so much. Regular people. Straight people. Well, we'd hear some bar was having a bad time. Maybe they'd let gay girls in for the money. So a few gals would go, and if they had a good time, it didn't get hassled too bad. A few more would go, and so on. There were fights, though. Men who say they won't hit a woman, they'll hit a butch all right just for walking in the door of a place. They'll hit a femme, too, if it comes to it. Yeah, butches try to protect us. Femmes wouldn't be the first ones to go in on a new place. And if there were a bunch of tough guys hanging around outside, they'd get in between you and them. But cops didn't care so much back then. Nowadays, you got all these bars you could go to, a different one every day of the week. But you gotta wonder, are the owners paying off the cops regular and on time? Because if not, bar gets raided, you get arrested, you get your name in the paper. You're in a world of trouble. I have so many questions. Manipulation of the basic ingredient of patriarchy, the hierarchical distinction between male and female, was an expression of women's autonomy and of romantic and sexual interest in other women. Butches defied convention by usurping male privilege, and with their femmes, outraged society by creating a sexual unit that was not under male control. People I know from my political organizing internship keep telling me I should meet this one state legislator's wife who's femme, but mostly I think people don't really use that word anymore. I did go to a workshop last spring at the LGBT youth conference and about labeling and gender, and people have a lot of words they use for themselves. Somebody read a definition of femme from a piece of paper, but mostly it sounded like femme is normal, boring. We made genderbread people, and I put feminine for my gender identity, but I don't know. I love when the adults I work with joke around with me, like they're letting me in on little bits of queer culture, and they make fun of my long hair, my dresses, my complete lack of interest in golf. But I know you don't have to be super masculine to be gay. Those are just stereotypes. I plant myself on the end of the bar, play with my drink, chew on ice cubes, order another drink, pray for someone to talk to me. I try not to be obvious, try not to stare, but I watch the butch ones, the way they stand, sit, walk in their trousers, the way they lean on the bar. When I was a kid, at the movies, watching people kiss, and I thought about kissing, I knew I wanted to be kissed, and not by a man, I just didn't know by who. And when my school friends started talking about boys, I worried that I didn't want what other girls wanted, that I would never just look at somebody and know that I liked them. But I keep coming here, and I look around, and I realize that's what I want, a butch and mannish woman. I watch the femmes too. They're so glamorous. On Saturdays especially, they wear those fancy dresses. They look like movie stars. I come every week and sit alone like this. And one day, one of the glamorous ones introduces herself to me. And now I have a friend. Now I sit with Dorothy and her friends, and they tell me everything. Who's new here, like me, who's been around forever. Jerry's butch Dorothy comes in, and they dance, and it is so beautiful to watch. I want someone to look at me the way Jerry looks at Dorothy.
Keep it gay, keep it light, keep it fresh, keep it fair. Let it bloom every night. Give it room, give it air. Keep your lovely dream and never wait. Make it happy and be happy as you may. Let it sing like a nightingale may. Keep it gay, keep it free, or you'll frighten it away.
I want someone to look at me the way Jerry looks at Dorothy. Freshman year, I had a crush on, well, everybody, but especially the two girls who started the GSA together. They were a couple. I would watch them holding hands during meetings. They looked at each other like that, I think. Ending it, just wondering all the time if there was someone better out there for me. Then Susan and Jerry had a big fight. Susan kicked Jerry out, and the next thing I know, Jerry's sleeping on me and Bobby's sofa. Now, Jerry and Bobby were good friends, and I always liked the look of her. We joke around a little. But once she was in my house, Lord help me, I could not stop bumping into her. I wake up every day and tell myself, I'm just going to be polite, not too friendly. But then I go downstairs in the morning in my house coat, and there's Jerry in the kitchen making breakfast. She offers to make me breakfast. No one's done that for me since I was a kid. We sit and talk until we both have to go to work. It feels comfy. Cozy. Meanwhile, Bobby's in the bedroom sleeping off the night before. One night, I come home to an empty house. Bobby's out with her friends, and I think Jerry must be with him. I take a load off, get comfy, but I feel like someone's looking at me, and I turn and there's Jerry standing in the doorway. I shiver when I see her, like a tingling all up and down my spine, and I think she notices. She makes me blush. Then she's coming up behind me, rubbing my shoulders, calling me sugar. It's like magnets. We can't help ourselves. I didn't ask her to stop. I suppose I could have. I did feel bad about it afterwards, but life is too short. When I feel something that deeply, I go with what I'm feeling. It's all we have in this world, the only thing that makes me feel alive. friend. My straight friends complain they can't even meet a boy, which, fair enough. But we're surrounded by girls and I can't get a girlfriend or a date to the prom. I told one of my friends from the LGBT youth conference about my term paper, and she lent me this book that everybody we know is reading. Stone Butch Blues. It's memoir / fiction, but it tells what life was really like in these bars a little bit later in the 60s and 70s. Violence, homophobia, police raiding the bars, told by a butch narrator who some of the time is identifying or passing as a man. And it's a really important book, like kind of devastating to read. And I read it a few times because I felt like I was missing something. And I realized my friends who love this book the most, it's because they see themselves in the main character. They feel like that's here, like they identify with that, and that's so important. And I guess I wonder why I can't find something like that. Why are all the femmes in this book like Florence Nightingale, Betty Crocker, and Marilyn Monroe rolled into one? Why are there so many more interviews with butch narrators in this book than femmes? Why is Anne Aldrich so mean about femmes?
The femme often is simply a carbon copy of the kind of woman she would be if she were a heterosexual. The best way to describe a femme is to say that she seems always to be on the verge of something. A butch is an expensive dependent, and the femme often talks about the break she is on the verge of getting, which will provide her and her lover with those luxuries for which they dare to hope. The femme is on the verge of femininity. She, too, is a caricature, this time a caricature of womanliness. Her perfume is a little too heavy. Her hats are a little too zany. Her makeup is overdone, her walk exaggerated, her speech affected. Her effort to be a feminine being is too concentrated. While she is attracted to the girl who can look more mannish than any other, she is repelled by men. Femmes try hard to look, act, and be ladies, but they never quite succeed.
A carbon copy of the woman she would be if she were straight? That can't be right. Think of the courage it took to find this community, to walk into one of these bars. Her perspective, her temperament, her way of moving through the world would be completely different than if she were straight, no matter what she looked like. Yes, butches were in a lot more danger out in the world by themselves, but if a butch and a femme walked down the street hand in hand, there was no mistaking who they were or why they were together. The femme is an essential piece of the equation. One time, I was dancing with this tall, handsome girl. She was heads above man. She looked down at me, and I looked up at her, and she said, "What are you here for, honey? Just to see how the other half lives?" And I said, "Why, no. I'm just as gay as you are." And she laughed, and I laughed, because I wasn't indignant, I was just surprised. It never occurred to me I should dress any differently, and nobody wanted me to, because back then, just like now, all the gay girls down there wanted a girl who looked like a girl. I had stepped on her toes, or I like to think I would have. So if all the gay girls down there wanted a girl who looked like a girl, why don't we know more about their stories? There are butches and femmes in these books who say femmes weren't really gay. They weren't trustworthy, weren't committed to the life. They could fly under the radar. If there's butches around, there's got to be femmes, says one interview subject. But then they say all the old femmes turned into butches or got married to men. Where are all the old femmes, they keep asking. I did find this, The Persistent Desire, edited by writer and activist Joan Nessel. She was in these bars Anne Aldrich talks about. Butch-femme relationships were complex, erotic, and social statements. not phony heterosexual replicas.
They were filled with a deeply lesbian language of stance, dress, gesture, love, courage, and autonomy. Butch Femme was both a conspicuous flag of rebellion and a symbol of women's erotic autonomy, a sexual accomplishment that did not include men. When we walked down the street holding hands, we knew we were courting violence, but we also knew the political implications of how we were courting each other and chose not to sacrifice our need to their anger.